thought you might like to see what's involved in hooking the Jeep up behind the motorhome and getting it ready to tow. There's a process for making sure that it's in neutral and that the handbrake is off as well. The first test is to put the brakes on, and the light lights up right there showing that we've got brakes in the Jeep. We've got our directions plotted in on the phone and on the GPS, so it's time to hit the road. Crossing the Florida-Georgia line, Florida has a nice sign saying thanks for visiting. So I get to Valdosta, Georgia and park in the Gander Mountain store, which is closed. I thought I'd spend the night there. When I came out from having dinner, there was a rent-a-cop there, and I saw the signs for the first time saying that no parking was allowed. I continued on to Albany, Georgia, where I found a nice place to park at a moose lodge. I had fun flying my drone and taking some pictures of the lake and the sunset and the birds at the moose lodge. There were some starlings nesting near the RV, and when I put the drone up in the air, it kind of freaked them out, and they started flying all around trying to check out what kind of giant bird that was in their space. When you're traveling, things never go as planned. If you're a type A personality, maybe full-time RV travel is not for you. You have to be flexible and adapt to change. I had planned to stay in Valdosta, but I got there. I didn't feel very welcome. I didn't like the feeling of the parking lot. There was a Walmart next door. I didn't like the idea, didn't like the feeling, just got bad vibes there and decided it was best if I move on. And I'm glad I did. I wound up at this Moose Lodge. Beautiful sunset, beautiful lake, nice grounds. Went inside, had some dinner and met the people there and just thoroughly enjoyed myself, and just enjoyed being able to fly the drone around and take some pictures of the area.
Crossing border, entering Alabama, changing time zone.
Crossing the Georgia-Alabama line wasn't very exciting. And another thing about trip planning, no matter how hard I try, I always wind up getting bad directions from the GPS. It takes me down this road, turns me through this residential section. Telephone poles are leaning over the road, so I'm having to ride in the middle of the road to keep from hitting telephone poles. But I continue on, and finally, approaching Lake Guntersville, I get into this curvy downhill section where I'm having to gear down the motorhome to control the speed and not overheat the brakes. But I finally get down to the bottom of the hill and come out on the lake, and glad to get to the state park eventually. If you have a travel partner, they can check the route as you go and follow along and look ahead and maybe see if there's an alternate route that's better for you as you're approaching a town. But as a single RVer, I do the best I can to plan my route before I leave, and then once I'm on the road, there's no checking the route or looking for alternate ways to get somewhere unless I stop. And generally finding a place to pull over is difficult. So I have to do the best I can. This drive down the hill, even though I mentioned it was curvy and everything, it was beautiful, and it was easy to do if you know how to drive a large vehicle. That's no problem. But came out on the lake here, and just a little ways further down, got to the entrance to the state park, and got pulled in and got checked in to my site. View from the lodge, Lake Guntersville State Park. Sun's gonna pop out any time here. It's supposed to be a beautiful day. I went to High Falls Park to check out the park. They had a nice little bridge across the water and a nice waterfall. It was an old former mill site, looked like, with remnants of a dam structure there. I left Lake Guntersville, Alabama after staying here for a week. It was cold and rainy most of the week, but I still highly recommend this park if anybody is in that area, northeast Alabama. It's a beautiful park. If you're into fishing, a nice lake. It has a reputation for fishing. And they have fishing tournaments there all the time, is what I hear. And there were quite a few boats coming and going as I was the week I was there. Leaving the park, the water on the road made a nice reflection. It had a little bit of fog, made it interesting. I thought you would enjoy seeing this little clip along the river and coming out onto the lake and the bridge ahead. Heading on up toward Murphy, North Carolina, I took Highway 64, I think it was 64 and 74, toward Murphy from Tennessee going into North Carolina. And that was the most beautiful drive, with the lake and the river on the right, and waterfalls were tumbling down the mountain on the left all along the way because it had been raining so much. This area is a popular whitewater rafting area. The large parking lot on the right is for the rafters to park during the summer. finally arrived at the KOA in Murphy, North Carolina, where I was going to spend the week. I had originally planned to stay here because there was going to be an RV rally here, but with the COVID-19 pandemic, that got canceled. Well, I still have to be somewhere, so I kept my reservations, and this was on the way to Raleigh, where I was headed eventually to see the kids. I'm at the KOA in Murphy, North Carolina. Got a nice little campsite here. We're right on the river. I'm gonna walk down here and let you see what the river looks like. Rained all night last night, so we're kind of in flood stage. I looked at the trees across the way yesterday, and the water was right at the base of the trees. You could see the roots, and it's come up a couple of feet since yesterday. But I've been assured that I don't have to worry about the river flooding and getting all the way up to the campsite, all the way up to the RV. And it's a very pleasant place to spend a week during this time of social distancing with the COVID-19 outbreak. I was in Lake Guntersville last week for a conference, and I was busy all the time doing stuff there, so I didn't really take any pictures of the campsite or take any pictures around the campground. Wasn't motivated. It was rainy and just nasty weather most of the time. So pretty day today. I thought it'd be a good time to take a picture. I'm in Murphy, North Carolina today, and as usual, hanging out down by the railroad tracks looking for old trestles and bridges and things. So thought I would share this with you. There's quite a bit of history in this area about trains and when they came through here from Asheville, North Carolina through Murphy, I guess heading on down to Georgia somewhere. But not really much to see here. No historic depots or anything like that that's open. Just one solitary rail car with City of Murphy painted on the side. And they've got a walkway along the river called the River Walk, and it comes down by the trestle. So trying to enjoy that a little bit today. When I came through Murphy, there was at the intersection of Highway 64 and 74 a big DOT sign said, "Trucks, take Highway 74 to Asheville." So I'm coming out of the KOA, I'm on 74, I'm headed toward Asheville, and I get down the road a little ways, and there's another DOT sign says, "Highway 74 is closed. Follow the detour." I pulled into a rest stop and called 511 and asked them if the detour was truck friendly, and they assured me that it was. So I continued on down the road from the rest area past this church and this sign. I photographed that sign 25 years ago. I thought that was interesting. The DOT also advised me that the detour would take me through Graham County, which was closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So I get to the detour, and sure enough, here is a blockade, and I'm wondering, okay, what are they going to do? What are they going to tell me? They told me to follow the detour and don't stop. So the very first thing that I see is this warning sign on the right that says 12% grades and sharp curves for the next 25 miles. And I thought, oh great. But I get through it, and on the left is the blockade for people coming the other direction. I continue on down the road, and there's another DOT sign warning that the Qualla boundary is closed. That is the boundary for the Cherokee Nation. As I wrap up this video, I have to acknowledge that the people in New York City, New York State, the Northeast, other states, and countries around the world have been devastated by this COVID-19 virus. I'm healthy. I've been hunkered down in an RV park near Winston-Salem, North Carolina for the last couple of weeks. I have to leave to go to Raleigh to get some doctor appointments and things taken care of, and then after that I have family that I can go to and hunker down for the duration of this pandemic. And I just wanted to wish everybody well, hope everybody's healthy, hope they stay healthy, and we'll see you on the other side.